Hi. Hi, can everyone hear me? I think I'm shouting into the mic. Hello? Hello? Okay, great. So, hi everyone, I'm Ching. I'm a year one.
Sorry.
Yeet. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Ching. I'm a year one.
I'm not doing a purpose.
Something doesn't like year one. Okay.
Move back. Can you move back? Move back.
Hi everyone, after that multiple round of introduction, okay, I'm Ching. I'm a year one FAS major, and I'm here today to talk about uncertainty in our relationships. Yep, okay. Okay, so I've already introduced myself. I'm Ching, I'm a year one FAS major for those who weren't able to hear just now, and I'm here to talk about uncertainty in our relationships. So, we know uncertainty is everywhere in this world. We don't know what our political leaders are going to do next. We don't know whether our degrees will become toilet paper, especially for the FAS kids out there. And we don't know when death will come for us. But out of all of these uncertainties, the one that worries us the most is that in our relationships, because it's closest to our heart. Remember all the times when you're at 2 a.m. crises, rolling around on your rock-hard cinnamon bed, thinking too much? Or all the 4-hour-long conversations with your friends about your relationship struggles? Yeah, this talk's gonna be about that. So a wise person once told me, relationships are a walk in the park, Jurassic Park. So if you're looking for some kind of theory or formula on some kind of relationship problem, you're maybe when to settle down, you're looking for Katie. This talk is different. So the impetus for this talk came when I was packing my stuff, getting ready to move into NUS. And I was worrying about how this uni commitment was going to affect my relationships inside and outside of uni, because it's a huge commitment. So I was wondering, will they stay strong or will they just crumble and fall apart? So most, if not all of us, are worried about this underlying uncertainty in our relationships. Just check out Judith Butler's assertion that she has no answer when it comes to the meaning of love, or poet-philosopher Khalil Gibran's confession that he thinks not he can direct the cause of love. So all these point to one thing. Relationships are fundamentally mysterious and no one knows how they're gonna turn out to be like. So I've been doing some thinking, researching and talking to people, and I've come to some conclusion that I'd like to share with all of you. So these conclusions are about why we feel uncertainty in our relationships and why we need to tackle this uncertainty and how we can go about tackling this uncertainty. So firstly, a few definitions. Here, I'm using the term relationships in its most fundamental sense, aka a bond between two people. So this applies to platonic and non-platonic relationships. So fundamentally, relationships are about two things, giving and receiving. And honestly, it's this exact dependence on these two elements that make the relationship so uncertain, because the loss of any one of these in a two-way exchange makes the relationship fall apart and die. So giving and receiving are not easy things. Just think about the times when you tried to reach out to someone, but it was like you were slamming into a stone wall because there was no response at all. Or the times when people tried to reach out to you, but you were the stone wall because you didn't know how to respond, if you even should respond. Tough. So let's think about why this uncertainty is such a scary thing. In a Caltech study, subjects were asked to make increasingly uncertain bets. And it was found that as the uncertainty of the bets grew, the more fear and irrationality the participants reported. So in this light, betting is analogous to a relationship. And it's not just because you become broke more easily, but because in a relationship and a bet, the more uncertainty there is, the more likely you are to not be reciprocated, and the more likely it is that you lose. So, given how hard relationships are, and on this note, let's think about why we need to tackle this uncertainty and how we can go about doing it. So, we all know that uncertainty is present in every relationship, and we are always terrified of the prospect of losing people important to us. But, so a coping mechanism we use to deal with that is that since we might lose the person, we start withdrawing our effort, and then we let the relationship die. Because if we don't have any control over the course of how it goes, we might as well have some over how it ends. But the problem with that, the problem with equating the uncertainty to the loss directly, is that we don't give ourselves a chance. We need to see past that fear instead of crippling ourselves. And so I propose targeted communication consisting of two things. The first is expectations, where you tell each other what you expect of each other and how much you can give to the relationship. And the second is affirmation, where you recognize your value to each other. In situations where you have this targeted communication, uncertainty doesn't have to be destructive. In fact, it can even be constructive. In the study of long-distance couples versus geographically closer couples, long-day couples actually reported more trust and satisfaction in their relationships versus their counterparts, because the geographic uncertainty encouraged them to put in more effort into their relationships, like strategic conflict management. So now you're probably wondering, okay, for people whom I'm really close to, obviously we're comfortable enough to communicate with each other, but what about people whom I want to get closer to, and there's much more uncertainty in our relationship because we can't communicate yet? To that I say, have the courage to be vulnerable, share your worries with them, and then weigh the risk of losing that relationship or weakening it to the reward of potentially getting closer to them. So in this light, relationships, they're still tough, but I hope that they get a little bit easier. But one common problem that I come across when I ask people why don't they reach out to potentially close people more often is that they think things could get awkward. What if I reach out to this amazing person and they think I'm weird, and then they run away? Well, we have a tendency to idealize others and deprecate ourselves, and I think we need to stop doing that, because we're all imperfect and worthy of good relationships. So when I came to USP, that's what I found. I found some pretty good relationships, and I'm looking to get closer to some of these friends. But we are all swamped with work and commitments, and we don't know how we're going to make the uncertainty work. But even though there's so much we don't know, we had lots of HTH and leaps of faith, and we've worked out that even though we don't know how things are going to go, we're going to give our best shot, because we don't want to be left with regrets and inaction at the end. So last thing I want to say to you guys is to go forth and prosper in your bets and in your relationships. Thank you.